Welcome to Trading Nation. I'm Seema Mody. A number of recent tech IPOs surging since their debut on the public market. Check out how names like Roku, Stitch Fix, DocuSign, and Dropbox have fared since their IPOs. Roku up a whopping 400%. Stitch Fix behind it with a hefty 200% gain. And the question now is, are these gains too hot to handle, or is there more upside ahead? Gina Sanchez is with Chantico Global. Mark Newton is with Newton Advisors. Gina, let's start with you. Which of these stocks kind of stick out to you?
Well, when you're looking across names like this, especially when they're just IPO'd and you have very little data to work with, at the end of the day, you have to believe that the story is going to be a long-term growth story. And look, all of these guys are actually competing in the big leagues. They all have huge competitors, right? And so the question is, how big are the competitors? Of the four that you point out, I'm going to look at DocuSign as probably the best story that we see. Certainly the e-signature and verification market is going to continue to grow, and we think it's probably going to be more robust if we do see a downturn in sort of growth appetite and more of a value tilt to the market. As we see that, we could actually continue to see DocuSign continuing. They have a massive user base, and they're continuing to make acquisitions in order to grow their business. So we do actually think that DocuSign of the four probably is going to be not only a growth story, but the most defensive growth story. And that really is our concern, is that in 6 months' time, we're going to be more defensive than we are now.
Okay, Mark, what do you see in the charts when looking at some of these big IPOs this year?
So I think you put it exactly right, Seema. Too hot to handle. I mean, some of these names have moved up so much, so quickly. Names like Roku are just too overdone to really try to embrace at current levels. I'm looking at the laggards, and Dropbox, for me, looks particularly appealing. I mean, this stock has been almost cut in half, really, over the last few months. And really, at current levels, you're starting to see evidence of this stabilizing, finally. And so, for me, it has a lot of appeal technically as a name that potentially could start to play catch-up. Obviously, it's going to take some time, but recently the technical movement in the last couple weeks stands out. The stock moved up to really the highest weekly close we've seen since late August. Definitely showing at least near-term signs of stabilization and putting in a bottom. So while I embrace stocks like DocuSign and Roku on a long-term basis, I think from a risk-reward perspective and a month like September, it looks appealing to look at stocks like Dropbox after recent stabilization and a big pullback when it's finally starting to show evidence that it might be able to go higher.
Gina, what are your thoughts on Dropbox? Of course, cloud computing has been a hot space to invest in, but dominated by some of the big names like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft.
That's exactly it. That was precisely my concern. I actually do like Dropbox as a name. However, I totally agree with you. In fact, the big competitors like, Microsoft, Citrix, Amazon, these guys also have tremendous resources and can move into the space very quickly. We saw OneDrive pop up literally from out of nowhere. Amazon Web Services had already been sort of sneaking into that space. Citrix had launched FileShare. So there was already a really competitive market for that space. I think Dropbox was a pioneer, but I think it's going to be challenged because the people who can compete against them can mobilize very quickly.
All right, Gina and Mark, we'll leave the conversation there. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for watching Trading Nation. I'm Seema Mody. We'll see you next time.
Hey traders, did you like that video? There's more where that came from. Scroll down and click on the links to the right of your screen. We publish new videos and commentaries from our experts every day. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter @Trading Nation.